A Greek philosopher once said, "Change is the only constant." But that doesn't make it any easier to handle change. To say that these recent years and days have been turbulent times feels pathetic. But it's true. And while many of us are extremely fortunate not to be in conflict, not to be displaced from our homes, not to be losing loved ones, we are still impacted by change. This is also true in the business community, where startups and founders are facing an incredibly unpredictable environment. Changes all around us. And it's interesting, therefore, that we don't spend a lot of time planning for change, or we certainly don't spend time training for it. And I think it's helpful for us to do that. I think if we understand the process of change, we can be better prepared, better equipped for being aware of what's going on and thinking about the right way to handle things and to take change and turn it into an opportunity for transformation, which it always is. So I wanted to briefly share a concept from a wonderful woman called Martha Beck called the change cycle. So the change cycle is very simple. It talks about the 4 stages that you go through when you experience change, when you experience any kind of catalytic event. The first stage is about grieving and acceptance. And speaking personally, this is often the stage that I want to skip over. But it's very important that we recognize that when change comes, there is a mini grieving period for the reality that we understood before. And I think we really have to go through that process of acceptance before we can effectively move on. When we do move on, the next stage is all about planning and scheming and visualizing where we're going to go next. And this is my happy place. This is the stage of change that I get good and stuck in. When I get out a big sheet of paper, I write down all the ideas. That's the first thing I do when change comes. Is like, right, let's brainstorm. What can we do next? I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like this. But it's not the whole part of the process. You have to do the acceptance first. Then you can start doing the planning. Then you move on to the sort of trial and error phase of putting those plans into action. And that phase is beset with challenges and setbacks, and it never goes the way that you're planning for it to go and hoping that it will go. And knowing that is really important, that actually that process of facing and overcoming obstacles is all part of how you embed transformation. And then when you come through that period, that's when you get to the promised land. That's when you get to the transformation that you've been looking for. And then you're more equipped to deal with fluctuations. And of course, the bad news is that you're probably going to go through this cycle in your life and in your business several times, but recognizing that there is a process and a cycle really is an important part of how we set ourselves up to handle change. So I hope that idea is helpful to you.